It's been really good on the defensive end.
So obviously that's a big key, right? While Boston College can score from all 5 positions, they have to disrupt Notre Dame. You can't let them play clean and free. You've got to run them off the 3-point line. You got to get back in transition and find easy ways to score. Dontavia Wagner leads the league in steals. She can guard multiple players for Notre Dame, and they're going to need her to play big on both ends of the floor.
Notre Dame quick off the tip, gets it inside to Maddie Westbeld. Easy 2 points there for Notre Dame on their home floor. Boston College in that slate gray. Take a look at their starting 5. JoJo Lacey's been playing really well as of late. Their freshman, Taina Merritt, point guard, keep an eye on her. Daley, Wagner, and Gakdeng on the inside. Starting 5 for the Fighting Irish. Dara Mabry with the ball in her hands. Of course, we told you about Miles Citron. Kind of a quiet assassin, does a lot for this Irish team. Westbeld and then Watson, the transfer from Oregon. You see the Eagles get
uphill pass, Jen, and that's the way BC's got to play. And on an uphill pass, you got to be up the line. You got to be disruptive. Can you bust up their rhythm? Can you take them deep into the shot clock? Those will be challenges for Boston College on defense.
Eagles get the turnover, get the ball back on the offensive end now. It was Wagner getting her hands on the basketball. This is Mayer pulling up from the free throw line.
Look how quickly Notre Dame converts from defense to offense.
Watson had it blocked by Gakdeng on the inside.
One of the things Boston College wants to do is try to score quickly in the early part of the shot clock, but if they don't have it, they don't mind shortening this game and giving Notre Dame less offensive possessions.
Miles picks the ball up. She's off to the races and is fouled. Wagner will put Miles on the free throw line.
You can't afford to have those live ball turnovers against the Irish. Their speed running downhill is tough. And Wagner saying, Olivia Miles, you're going to earn it at the free throw line today.
Miles misses the first. She is an 81% free throw shooter on the season. Does a good job of getting to the line for the Irish.
This is a young Boston College team, Jen. No seniors, no transfers this season. 5 freshmen, 3 sophomores, all play vital roles. And they all have increased their role from last year to this year, those that are sophomores and juniors.
That is Daley, who had the ball knocked away. Andrea Daley, one of the X factors according to her coach, but you got to get back in defensive transition. That was one of the keys from Joanna Burnaby-McNamee, and the Eagles not getting there that time. Citron capitalized.
Well, you're not going to have a chance to set up any sort of defensive transition when you turn the ball over in a live situation like Boston College has done in back-to-back possessions because of this. Citron quickly up the floor, runs ahead of the ball, runs the floor wide, and gets rewarded.
5-0 start for the Irish. Citron with the drive, makes it look easy. She has 4.
Citron and Miles love those one-handed drives. So quickly getting the ball up on the glass.
Good move, and now Wagner has some points for BC.
Now Wagner will have an advantage in certain matchups because of her foot speed and her length. And I think you go under all ball screen action against Olivia Miles early in the game until she proves that she's going to make a couple, because she's too dangerous to me turning the corner, playing through the elbows, getting to the middle of the floor than she is outside the 3-point line. She's a 25% shooter outside the 3-point line.
Laura Nebo checking into the game. How good has she been off the bench? Transfer from Texas, joining the Irish this season. Wagner. Nebo giving her fingertips to the ball. Goes out.
There's a great isolation call from the bench by head coach Joanna Burnaby-McNamee. You get Dontavia Wagner isolated on the elbow. She's got to swipe it and take it hard to the basket, not pull up and counter.
Mayer gets it back off the inbounds, looking inside, Gakdang.
Good help from the weak side.
Miles dishes to Westbeld.
Another good job protecting the rim inside by Boston College. It's tough to block shots in transition like that. They've done it twice.
Gakdang turns and looks. She can hit from there. Average is just under 12 per game for the Eagles this season.
And when they can score, Jen, they can set their full court pressure. You got to be careful of opening up the floor against Notre Dame because they can do this on the backside. They can score.
And Notre Dame offensively putting up some big numbers, 84 points per game, ranked second in the conference. They lead the league in field goal percentage, or second in three-point percentage.
They are so good offensively. That's why you have to be disruptive. If you let them do what they want to do, they are too tough.
Right now, the Irish running the floor, and one coming for Miles.
This is their game. They have scored in their transition game or from the free throw line. They haven't had to run much offense yet. This is all primary or secondary on the break. And this is how good they are with their team speed converting to the other end.
Andrea Daley committing the foul, putting Miles back on the free throw line. Eight-point lead now, largest so far in the early going here in South Bend for the Irish. Daley looking back door. The Irish ready for it. Miles back behind to Citron. KK Bransford, only freshman on this Notre Dame team, number 14 in the game. Miles, too easy, too open on the drive.
You got to read that from the weak side and be able to help.
7-0 Notre Dame run. They're looking to add some more. Speaking of running, this pace picking up, and it has favored the Irish in transition. BC would like to run as well. They've had a tough time when they've gotten right there in the paint.
See, Daley has gotten in the paint 3 times and hasn't converted. Now, she has to be able to make those plays. Otherwise, it's a layup on the other end. That's like a 4-point swing.
Timeout on the floor. And Notre Dame rolling so far at home. Olivia Miles leading the way for her team, but everybody getting in on the action as the Irish out and running at home to start the new year, leading Boston College 16-4. Well, Boston College and Notre Dame actually split their 2 meetings last season, and when the 2 teams met in January up in Chestnut Hill, Cam Swartz had a big game for the Eagles, and free throws played a part. This gave an opportunity for Notre Dame to win it. They couldn't, and Boston College wound up hanging on, upsetting 17th ranked Notre Dame 73-71. Now, a lot of the personnel has changed, specifically for Boston College, since that meeting, but actually the Eagles, Debbie, have won 4 of the last 6 in this series.
Yeah, I mean, because they have been disruptive and they've turned Notre Dame over. The story's the other way right now. Notre Dame is on a 9-0 run based on their ability to get turnovers. Here's another one.
For the Irish, all 7 made field goals have come in the paint so far. Getting some good looks and converting. This time, though, they turn it over. So, Debbie, in that timeout, if you're Joanna Burnby-McNamee, what did she talk to her team about then in terms of trying to get a little bit more on track here?
Well, number one, you have to stop turning the ball over. I mean, she knew that the turnover margin would be critical for her team. They only have 1 player on their team with a positive assist-turnover ratio, and that is their point guard, Mayer.
Allie Van Timmeren in off the bench for the Eagles, misses her first attempt.
Nice flare.
Mabry.
Screen.
You know Mabry can knock him down. Mayer, just a bit strong. Cold shooting continues for Boston College.
See, they haven't been to the free throw line. They're turning the ball over. They're taking the shots that Notre Dame wants them to take. The last possession when Van Timmeren had that three, that's the first time they've reversed the ball. They are
Ebo has her shot blocked.
Inside, Jen.
It's keeping them at least in a little bit close, but another turnover. Not going to help the cause for Boston College. Well, they get it right back, though. Now can they convert on the offensive end where they're just 2 for 10 to start this game? Mayer lost it a little bit on the way, but still made good.
Yeah, I think Mabry got a hand on that. That's why it was not a travel. But BC right now has more turnovers than points.
Mabry finds Bransford, and she is fouled.
That's KK Bransford's game. Off the bounce, attack inside out.
JoJo Lacey committing the foul, 4th team foul for the Eagles. Bransford, McDonald's All-American, 2-time Ms. Ohio basketball out of Cincinnati.
A wonderful kid, a hard-working kid, a player who's going to have a bright future at Notre Dame.
She has 4 so far in this one.
She's a player that has almost as many free throws as made baskets this season. It's very telling about her scout and the way to defend her.
Mayer. Seen a couple of her shots, either front iron or back iron. Haven't quite found the right touch yet. This will go out of bounds, stay on this end. Notre Dame 11-1 on the season, 2-0 in conference play. Narrowly got out of Coral Gables on Thursday night with the victory. And Miami really pushed this Notre Dame team. Bransford's going back to the free throw line here.
This is a really well-executed baseline out of bounds play. Look at Bransford, how deep position she gets. 2 feet in the paint, uses that strong body to get over that left shoulder, handle the contact, and get to the line.
Daley picking up her 2nd personal on the play, and Bransford still perfect from the free throw line.
That's what I'm talking about, her toughness, Jen. You know, she's 1 for 3 outside the three-point line on the season, but she's very good off the bounce and inverting to the block. You know, Neil Ivey has talked about Jackie Young when she's referenced KK Bransford, and as young players, they're very similar. Of course, Jackie developed her three-point shot later in her career at Notre Dame and into the WNBA. I think KK will do the same thing.
I was gonna say, it's pretty lofty comparisons to be made, but you can imagine, you know, Neil Ivey's not going to make those if she doesn't think the player can handle it.
Yeah, you mean the #1 draft pick in the WNBA draft one year? Yeah,
it's pretty good. 4 on the shot clock. Eagles need to hurry to get one off. They do. Mayer just beats it, and then the initial call by Carla Fountain that it's going to stay with Boston College.
BC needs to take a collective deep breath, right? They're trying to play fast. They're not making shots. Notre Dame is turning them over. You know, they got to clean up a few things because Notre Dame hasn't been that clean on the offensive end. Their scoring has come out of their transition game off their defense.
Shot off the inbounds, around and out for Van Timmeren. Miles sees Bransford up ahead. And then Wagner, not wanting to commit the foul, just stands there, but Bransford no problem up and over. 9 points in the game for Bransford. now to lead Notre Dame as they continue to extend their lead here in the first. Mabry frustrated, commits a foul.
This is what I'm talking about for Notre Dame. Look how quickly they fill the lanes and go. I mean, that's hard to defend. KK Bransford too strong right here, and yes, Dontavia Wagner cannot afford to get in foul trouble. Really, the BC roster only goes about 6 deep because they still do not have their freshman Tayana Todd back.
Yeah, that's a player who averages in double figures, certainly could help them, but she's been out with a hand injury. They hope to get her back later this month. This is a little more of what BC would like to do when they're flowing into their offense, getting some points in transition. Wagner gets these. It's tough to balance that, though, sometimes, Deb. You know when you want to run, but you don't want to get in a track meet with this Notre Dame team that's so good in offensive transition as well.
Notre Dame executes there when the game slows down. This is a really well executed curl off the elbow. And KK Bransford back to the line.
I want to give you our Wednesday college basketball doubleheader here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 17 Duke will head to Raleigh. That game at 7 p.m. Eastern as they take on NC State. Then we go to Chapel Hill. Number 25 North Carolina hosting Wake Forest. Two great matchups there with some of the conference's top teams in action on ACCN.
Wake Forest guys coming off a huge win over Virginia Tech. North Carolina suffered a tough loss against Pitt. And NC State looking to regroup after their loss on the road to Clemson.
Final seconds ticking away of quarter number 1. Blocked by Watson. And this fourth quarter, well, the scoreboard tells the story. It has been all Notre Dame. The Irish shooting 56% in the first 10 minutes. Put up 25 points. They lead it 25-8 over Boston College.
Well, they've been able to get to the free throw line. They're 7 for 8 from the line, and BC hasn't been to the free throw line yet. Notre Dame has forced 7 turnovers in the first quarter for Joanne Burnaby McNamee's team, and they got to take better care of the basketball.
You imagine that is priority number 1 for Boston College, but quick turnover to start the second quarter for Notre Dame.
I think when you have a young team, you come on the road, you're playing a top 5 team, you know you have to take care of the basketball. Now you just got to settle in because the pressure's off, right? But you can't keep throwing the ball away. That just fuels the Irish attack because this is where they're best, is in transition.
8th turnover of the game for Boston College. Pass a little bit off the mark as Westbeld trying to look inside for Ebo.
I mean, this is one of the things for Notre Dame that concerns me overall is their lack of ball security at times during games. Like, that's twice they've misconnected on a high-low pass. But then they can do this and get in transition.
Yeah, we nearly saw the first points of a Notre Dame career for Kassan Prosper, the 6'2" freshman guard out of Canada, who just joined the team the day after Christmas. She's an early enrollee, made her debut 3 days after joining the team on Thursday at Miami. Citron has the 3. She has 7 in the game. And Debbie, you know, early enrollees have a pretty good track record so far at Notre Dame. There have only been 2 of them. Prosper is the second. The first, Olivia Miles, say she's done well so far.
She's taken her under her wing a little bit, helped her, has talked to her about what she didn't know, Olivia didn't know when she got here, and how she can help. But don't forget, Allie Van Timmerman is also an early enrollee at BC.
Yep, seen more of that. Certainly with when the COVID year disrupted a lot of players' high school seasons. Van Timmeren was A victim to that, graduated early, joined Boston College day after Christmas in 2020.
Watch the hustle by Westbeld right here. Knocks it off a BC player and keeps possession under the basket, and they've been very good on their blobs. Baseline out of bounds plays.
Working the blob terminology in. I like it, Debbie, as Citron adds 2 more.
Well, Happy New Year, Jen. You know, you got to bring in a new year with blobs and slobs.
Sideline, out of bounds. Just I'm making sure I'm staying with you. Miles lifts her head. You can see how Boston College got a lot of numbers back there. Took away any early options anyway on the break.
That's what you want to do, though. You got to get back, build your wall, make them score against your defense in a quarter court.
Miles turns it over this time, and the Eagles take advantage. Some points on the break. First points of the game for Daley. And that's a second straight turnover. I know that this is a statistic and an area of the game you'll be watching closely, Debbie, because as much as we talk about how good Notre Dame is, how good they've been, that concerns you.
Well, I've been concerned about Notre Dame turning the ball over, especially in late game situations. This year they've had some examples where they've turned it over late and won, and some where they've turned it over late and lost. But Niele Ivey is well aware of it, and they work on those situations in practice with their scout team guys.
Eight to shoot for Boston College. Mayer, freshman point guard for the Eagles, around and out. And then on the break, Westbeld beats everybody down the floor.
It is a layup drill for the Irish based on the BC turnovers.
Yeah, in the first quarter, all 9 Notre Dame field goals were made in the paint, and a lot of them come in just like you just saw. Getting good looks quickly down the floor. That has to make Niele Ivey happy. Her 3rd year in charge of this Notre Dame program, of course, one that she played for and was an assistant coach as well after playing days under Muffet McGraw. Good run last season with the team.
Great on-ball defender, terrific distributor, great target inside, and Ruth Riley led him to a national championship.
Watson gets the basket and the foul. The junior transfer has her first points in the game, and now all 5 starters have scored for Notre Dame.
Watch Watson before the ball gets to her. She seals, holds the contact. The pass is away from the defense, where only she can catch it and finish.
At 6'4", you could see the height advantage she had on the play. Took advantage of it. Second personal foul on JoJo Lacey. Mayer, well read as Mabry steals it and then tiptoes to stay in bounds. Mabry going back to Watson. Why not?
Kylie Watson at 6'4" is mobile and works in the middle third. Great screen and short roll. Good awareness by Mabry to make that delivery.
Kayla Lazama committing the foul, and the free throw makes it a 10-0 Irish run. 30-point lead, and we still have 5.5 to play in the second quarter. Gakdang is trying to get her game going inside. She has 2 points.
Again, Watson doesn't let her get buried. You know, doesn't let her get deep in the paint.
Now Mabry fouled on a 3-point attempt. She'll have 3 free throws coming. Taina Mayer picks up her second personal foul, gives these 3 free throws to Mabry. They're 81% free throw shooter on the season. Well, get used to spending your Sundays here with us on ACC. And if you like women's hoops, this is what we've got coming up next week. We always start at 12 noon, but look at these 2 games. Pitt and Louisville, that's the 2 p.m. game. And then, Debbie, you and I will be in Chapel Hill. We'll follow this Irish team as they take on 13th ranked North Carolina at 4.
There's some big games today. I'm looking forward to following the Duke-Louisville game that's on right now. Duke coming off a big win on the road at NC State on Thursday night. I think Louisville, who was my pick to win the league, is starting to put it together. And I'm looking forward to Notre Dame and North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina, Virginia Tech later on too, Jen. This is a full day. Like, kick up your heels and throw something on the grill. It's New Year's.
Gatorade Fit.
This 5th-ranked Notre Dame team coming into the game today, knowing they could score. The numbers certainly back that up. They're amongst the best in the conference in the 3 categories as you see there, amongst the best in the country, top 10 in the NCAA. Points, field goal percentage, assists per game. I mean, they're shooting a mere 60% so far in this one, Debbie, and obviously 43 points. They have to like what they're seeing offensively.
Well, if I'm Neil Ivey, I'm liking the fact that I'm getting a lot of layups off my defense. I'm getting to the free throw line.
Watson did well just to keep her fingers on the ball. Jenna Brown into the game. Grad transfer from Stanford. And this is a Boston College team that comes in with a 1-1 record in conference play. They do have a win, came against Georgia Tech. Not seen their best thus far in this one as they've just struggled to tear the ball and struggled to put it in the basket.
Yeah, and so here's Joanna Burnaby-McNamee, who is a tremendous game strategist and in-game adjuster. However, when you turn the ball over as much as her team has turned it over, you don't get a chance to really plan for the things that you've worked on. Now, this right here would be an example of what they expected to be able to do, was turn Notre Dame over a little bit in the passing lane, set their full court pressure, and be able to play in the quarter court. Instead, the turnovers have forced them to have to be trailing in transition most of the half. Not just trailing in score, talking about trailing the play.
Foul on the sideline there. It's going to be the 3rd personal on Mayer, who's a player who averages 37 minutes per game. She rarely leaves the floor for Boston College. In fact, leads the ACC in minutes per game. But she's going to have to come off now with those 3 personal fouls. Frustrating start to her new year in this one as she goes to the bench.
And excuse me, Jen, and she's a freshman, right? And so she hasn't played on the road against a top 5 team before. This is going to be a tremendous learning experience for her and her teammates.
Yeah, Boston College as a team has not played a true road game since November. And this one continues to see KK Bransford go off. She had 11 in the first quarter, now 13 in the game. And you're going to get to see Notre Dame, at least if the scoring continues the way it has, get some of these players off the bench some more minutes in this game. Nat Marshall's been on the floor. Told you Brown was out there, still is as well. Foul on the play as Lacey drives to the basket. JoJo Lacey averages under about 11.5 points per game for the Eagles, but has yet to score in this one.
Now, is that a shooting foul or was she passing?
Looks like she's headed to the line, and for Notre Dame, it's just their 2nd team foul, so I guess it was shooting.
First trip to the free throw line in the game for Boston College.
So Miles getting a little rest on the bench. Brown bringing it up the floor. Bransford, you know where she likes to go. You called it earlier, Debbie, how aggressive she is going to the basket. Not afraid to get in there and mix it up. Lacey had it blocked by Watson. Back and forth. Either team able to hang on to the ball. Wagner, number 1 in the ACC in steals, has used her defense to set up her offense a couple of times in this one already. Mabry. Nope. The league this year, Debbie, is going to be so exciting as we continue to go. You know, you and I got to see NC State and Duke. That was a good game for the Blue Devils, a great game. In fact, they got the win on the road against a ranked Wolfpack team. Ranked Virginia Tech team lost on Thursday. Ranked North Carolina team lost on Thursday. 3 of the 4 ranked teams in the ACC losing on Thursday night. Notre Dame, the only one to hang on. Which just means there's going to be a lot of competitive games as we go along this year. And we'll set you up at halftime for what else you guys can look for today. There's some of those upsets on Thursday.
Well, as anticipated, the league at the very top, I think in my estimation, there's 4 or 5 teams that could win the ACC regular season and or tournament title. And I don't think it'll be the same team that wins both this year, because I think the winner in this league is going to have 3 or 4 losses. I think that's how tough it's going to be, and having the unbalanced schedule definitely favors some teams versus some others. I think Notre Dame has a really challenging schedule because they play the top teams on the road. And the only team they play twice out of the top teams is Louisville, and their last regular season game will be on the road at Louisville.
Yeah, we told you we will be in Chapel Hill to see the Irish take on the Tar Heels. That's next Sunday. They go on the road to face NC State at the end of January. Lozama picking up the foul for Boston College, puts Brown to the free throw line.
It's a great take. Good foot fake, good ability to create separation by Jenna Brown, the senior transfer from Stanford. Watch this play right here. She attacks that top foot. She gets to the basket, gets the foul.
Lacey having to run the point with Taina Mayer on the bench in foul trouble for Boston College. 13th turnover leads to more points in transition for Notre Dame. Lacey. Not much following the way of the Eagles today. 6 for 30 from the floor, 20% clip. And Notre Dame, meanwhile, just continuing to convert at a high rate. They're at 53% as Ebo will get ready to go to the free throw line. And that's the 3rd personal on Lacey. So to add insult to injury, you've got a couple of players now. Lacey, Mayer, really key players with 3 fouls for Boston College. Daley has 2. Well, basketball fans, you know the show you need to watch every Thursday night. It gets rolling this week at 10 Eastern. Nothing But Net coming after our ACC women's basketball doubleheaders here on ACCN. The crew will have you covered. It's the best you can get right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere.
We love to break it down all the time.
Muffet McGraw in studio with Kelly Gramlich, Kelsey Riggs, our Nothing But Net crew. Always a good way to finish up your Thursday night, see what you might have missed in the league. Meanwhile, Notre Dame a point away from 50 in the first half. Daley can't get it. Van Timmer in the offensive rebound. She makes good on. Miles back on the floor, will take the shot herself. Brown. That won't go, but plenty of shots did in that first half for 5th-ranked Notre Dame. The Irish rolling 49-16. They lead it over Boston College. We've got plenty more for you coming up at the half.
New customers get our best deals on all smartphones.
That's right.
Young team early in conference play. They'll certainly get it with these 2 games back-to-back, but there's so much promise, especially in a player like Taina Mayer, the freshman point guard who has played just about every minute for the Eagles this season, but was in some foul trouble in the first half, had to go to the bench. She's back out there now, starting 5 back on the floor for Boston College. Lacey, Mayer, Gachting, Daley, and Wagner. Mayer takes the first shot. Wagner kept it alive, kept it in play. It is a jump ball, eventually the call. Starting 5 back on the floor for Notre Dame as well.
Mayer with those 3 fouls. We'll keep an eye on her, see if Notre Dame looks to attack her. She is the point guard. She did pick up that 3rd foul in the middle of the second quarter.
Kylie Watson, 6 points in the first half. Good move with her left, but defended well enough by Boston College. Lacey tries the 3.
50% of the shots that Lacey takes are just a little bit shy of that, are 3-pointers. But if you take that long 3, it usually results in a run out, and there's good transition D, getting back and making a stop.
Mayer wanting to go to the basket, ran into a wall of Irish defenders. Mabry and Citron there, and now the Irish do take it back. Olivia Miles, little spin, looking for Westbeld, has it swatted. Gachting, one of the best in the country last year as a freshman, doing that for Boston College as Daley gets the 2 points out of it.
That is the 8th block for Boston College in this game.
Now their defense has made some nice plays, but when they haven't gotten back, Debbie, they've opened up those corridors for Notre Dame to have a easy look on the inside, and there's Miles making it look easy. She's now in double digits.
Well, she's doing a nice job of keeping the ball in the middle 3rd and playing off that twist action by Catherine Westbeld. And Dontavia Wagner has got the assignment of guarding Olivia Miles.
This is Daley, sophomore out of Miami.
And BC's not a team that shoots the 3 very well, so you see Notre Dame, everyone playing in the gap, looking to pinch, not overextending. They're not a team that overextends their defense anyway, but in this particular matchup, they're doing a good job of containing and making it difficult for BC to get into the paint.
Wagner will be going to the free throw line, a place the Eagles would like to be a bit more than they were in the first half. Only had 4 free throw attempts, made 2 of them in the first half. And Wagner has gone to the line more than anybody else on the Boston College team this season. This is her first. Gets the second.
And here comes their press. So you can't extend your press against Notre Dame. I think they're really challenging to full court press because they have the ability to score on the backside of all that pressure. So if you build too much pressure up front, they can throw over the top.
Miles fouled as she goes to the basket.
Olivia Miles quietly with 10 points. She's got 4 assists. She's let the game come to her. I think we'll probably see KK Bransford in pretty quickly off that Notre Dame bench. She's got 13 points, Jen, in 9 minutes on 4 field goal attempts. That's pretty efficient for the freshman.
Yes, perfect from the free throw line as well. Bransford, when she got there in the first half for 4. By the way, Wagner now with 2 fouls after she fouled Miles on that drive. Van Timmeren has it blocked, and then Citron from her knees able to retrieve the basketball.
Citron is a gamer. She understands how to play. She's a 3-level scorer. She's got 9 points on 4 of 5 shooting, with 5 rebounds to go with that. Here she is coming off the Iverson action.
Yeah, I keep trying to think of a good word, and maybe you've got one in your back pocket, Debbie, for Citron, because she's so smooth. You kind of can think of that silent assassin type. I don't know if that's exactly it, but I mean, she averages 14.9 per game, which is just behind Miles's 15. She just does everything so well, but almost so quietly as Miles picks up a couple more.
Well, Miles is flashy. Citron is not. She is solid, and she is an excellent basketball player. She handles, she passes, she sees the floor, she can score, she understands personnel on the defensive end. It'd be interesting if you polled the coaches in the ACC, like, which player would you rather have, Miles or Citron? I think it'd be a really interesting conversation because they're both so good. I think there'd be a lot of coaches in the league that would really prefer Citron.
That is interesting. Well, I mean, because Miles certainly produces at a high clip. I mean, she leads this Notre Dame team in scoring, rebounding, assists, steals. It's always a triple-double threat. Does have some turnovers that come along with that flash, that flair that she loves to play with. And Citron named ACC Freshman of the Year last year.
I mean, she's a 50, 40, almost 90. She's 88% from the free throw line. So that's why I say, when you look at her efficiency, her numbers are about, you know, she's just a better shooter than Miles is. Miles is a better passer. It's interesting, though. I think it would be maybe I'll take a silent poll, the man on the street kind of poll, and see what I can come up with.
Well, who would you take if you were coaching?
Well, I like Citron. I mean, that's not to diminish my like for Olivia Miles. It's just that I think I would take Citron because of all the things, the way she shoots the ball.
Here comes Miles.
They're both capable of being first-team All-ACC, but not both of them could be an All-American. Only one might be, maybe. And I think because of the flash and the attention and what Miles does for Notre Dame is probably giving her a little bit of an edge in Niele Ivey's system, but not much. It's good conversation.
Yeah. She picks up the offensive foul on that play. She was a first-team All-ACC selection last year, an honorable mention All-American by AP.
And that's not saying anything negative about Miles. It's just a preference, I think. Now I'm going to poll the coaches and see what I can come up with. I mean, we got Kenny Brooks's boat named. We can at least poll the coaches and find out, you know, who they would prefer, you know, anonymously, not giving up. See, look at that play. Citron with a dive to the bucket.
Yes, and making it very clear that there is, as you've said, utmost respect, and these are two tremendous players. This is a great choice either way. And I think Niele Ivey is very happy she doesn't have to make the choice. She's got them both on her roster. Block there from Watson. Play. Yeah, that'll get us to our media timeout. It's actually been even in scoring so far in this third quarter, but you like the smooth play of Sonia Citron? Yeah, she can finish in the paint for the Irish.
The opportunity of a lifetime.
Back at Notre Dame, 56-23. Niele Ivey's team playing well to start off the new year. 4:40 to go in the third quarter.
Excuse me, Janet. If you're Niele Ivey, you're not worried necessarily right now about the outcome of this one. What you're trying to do with your team is to make sure the discipline and the execution, not the opponent, is what matters here. Because if you're playing UConn like they played UConn and won, you play like that, you're going to win a lot of games. Okay, that's the challenge of a team that has this kind of margin right now on the scoreboard, but also has a greater vision for what's coming down the road.
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about that with Neil when we spoke with her yesterday. What was so impressive about that win against UConn was the fact that it came right after their loss in the last second to Maryland, their only loss of the season.
So I was in the building for the Maryland game, and Diamond Miller from Maryland lit them up, and they didn't finish off the game very well. And then you come back a couple days later and they knock off UConn at home. It was a tremendous coaching job by Niele Ivey to get her team ready after that tough loss to Maryland on a buzzer beater by Diamond Miller.
Well, that was the first free throw miss in this game for KK Bransford. The freshman having a good game so far, 13 points in the first half. We talked about it in the first half, but this is a very young Boston College team. They had a lot of turnover, lost 5 seniors, 6 players transferred, 4 starters that were starting last year, not with the team, I should say, this year. So there has been a lot for this team to learn on the fly, but every time, and I've talked to Joanna Burnaby-McNamee a couple times now this season, she genuinely likes the potential of this team. They've got great chemistry, and if they could just kind of put it all together at the same time, she feels really positive about where they can go. And Mayer now with 6 points in this third quarter, 8 in the game.
Well, and they're coming off a win over Georgia Tech. They did have a game since then, but the Georgia Tech win was significant because that's a very good Georgia Tech basketball team. That's a good win for them at home. You got to learn how to play on the road, you know, and this is a tough lesson to learn.
Ebo with the points inside for the Irish. And you know, you talked about breaking it down into small segments, right? For Boston College, it's a huge deficit at the half, but in this quarter, Notre Dame is just outscoring the Eagles by 1.
Well, because BC hasn't turned the ball over, right? They're getting better looks, and Mayer back-to-back buckets.
And then on the other side, of course, Notre Dame keeping your focus, as you mentioned, keeping an eye on much more than maybe what's right in front of you, but more so on the way you want to play, the type of team you want to be as the season continues. Bransford, double dribble.
Mabry has not hit a 3 today. She's got a little streak on the line, doesn't she? She's 0 for 1. They got to get her off a flare screen here.
I mean, she's 296 of those that she's made in her career. It's 5th amongst all active Division I players. Daley eventually just goes back outside. Now under 10 to shoot for the Eagles. Daley drives it again, takes it with her left. It's good.
See, I think Daley could be a really good player. She's athletic and long. She's got to work every day at game speed to get herself ready to be able to play in these moments. But in the first half, she went inside, she turned it over. That play, she dribbled back out, and she got a better look driving to the basket. It was a smart play.
Allie Van Timmeren picking up the foul as Miles was driving the basket. By the way, Debbie, I looked it up for you. You might be surprised to find out that actually there has been one game this season where Dara Mabry did not hit a 3. It was that win on the road at Virginia Tech. Perhaps.
You just called it out. She just, oh, I thought that was going to be the one that,
that
put her.
But yes, typically that is a part of Mabry's arsenal, a part of every Mabry's arsenal that is played at Notre Dame. The sisters, I think they're nearing 800 made 3s in their career, something crazy like that. I think they're just a couple away.
Well, and Daley hits another bucket inside, and according to Coach McNamee, she wants to be coached. And there's a good look at Michaela. Of course, Michaela was a walking three-point bucket, and so was Marina. No school except for Washington State has ever had 3 siblings. Of course, not all at the same time. Washington State had 3 at the same time.
But yeah, Daley has started to heat up here for Boston College. 8 points in the quarter. X-factor type player for Boston College. 5 to shoot here. For 3, no. And the rebound, though, is another opportunity for points as the Eagles will be going to the free throw line. Didn't give up on the play.
That's Ava McGee doing a nice job of sticking with the offensive glass. This game is definitely slowed down. This is BC not turning it over, being able to execute in the quarter court, being able to score, set their defense. These are the kind of things that Coach Burnaby McNamee is looking for out of her team in the second half.
Yeah, a couple of things. You mentioned the turnovers, Debbie. Boston College had 13 in the first half, just 2 since halftime in this quarter. And then they actually have more points in this third quarter, 19 now, than they did all of the first half. So the Eagles playing with a little momentum. Obviously, they realize there's still a giant mountain to climb, but you have to build on what you can. And 4.5 seconds to go in our third quarter. Final quarter will be coming up soon here from Notre Dame. A different challenge for the Irish. Just keep in focus. Keep playing the way that you want to. But it's actually an 8-0 Boston College run over the last 2.5 minutes. I can't add to it there, but certainly some signs of life for Boston College in the third quarter. 10 minutes to go from Notre Dame when we come back.
Guys with bad genes, are they worth it?
Jeans go with everything.
They go with nothing. Dudes, get the new Only Pant by Fabletics.
Awesome.
Want one pair of pants that does everything like magic?
And that's what I'm talking about for Coach Burnaby McNamee, is to get her team focused on not playing to the scoreboard and trying to get better. And they did that in the third quarter. They didn't turn it over. They ran and executed their stuff. They were able to make some shots.
Eagles starting off with the basketball. Daley had 8 points in the third quarter, 10 in the game. Lacey couldn't quite keep her hands on the ball, so it goes to the Irish. Now Notre Dame does have next Thursday off. Their next game will be our game that we've got next Sunday at North Carolina. But mark that moment. Kassan Prosper is going to remember it. The freshman who just joined the team as an early enrollee the day after Christmas has her first points in an Irish uniform. Good move inside as Lacey has her first field goal.
And she's their best three-point shooter, and she has not been able to get in any sort of rhythm. And you got to give some credit to Notre Dame's D. But they like Citron off this Iverson action because she can score in the paint.
13 points in the game for Citron. Her average is just under 15 on the season.
Got to find Mabry early in transition. Can't give her any space.
Gakdang's had a quiet afternoon. Player that Boston College typically does rely upon on the inside. Just 2 points in the game for Maria Gakdang, although she has been influential on the defensive end. The Eagles have blocked a number of Notre Dame shots, 8 of them in this game. Foul this time on Prosper.
Well, Daley has played a much better second half, taking shots that she can score on, 5 minutes a game last year, waited her turn, up to 26 minutes a game this year. And I think if she keeps working and uses her athleticism to improve upon her skill, she's going to be a very good player for Boston College.
Eagles get the rebound, so they'll get another opportunity to add some points. Well, there is a whistle. Not entirely sure what the call is here. Bransford checks into the game for Notre Dame. We'll try again. Off the inbounds, it is Daley. Left it short. 14 points in the game for Bransford. Ebo has the mismatch over the point guard Mayer, but doesn't finish. Mayer running the floor, gets it to Daley, and she'll get to go to the free throw line again. Eagles not shooting it well from the line. They didn't have too many opportunities in the first half. They were 2 for 4, and now just 7 for 12 in the game. Well, we've seen some amazing fans across the ACC, and now we need your help. This winter, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic or take a video, tag it with hashtag #AllTheDevotion, and post it to your social, and you just might see it on ACCN.
Have you done that yet, Jen? Because you need to.
You think we need to get in on it too, huh?
Yeah, I think maybe when we're in Chapel Hill, we'll do something.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds good. I like the challenge. I'll have to come up with something good. And we get to be fans too, not while we're calling the game, but when we get to watch the other games and we get to be fans. And plenty more games to come today on ACCN. This started off a triple header of ACC women's hoops as Mabry can't finish on the break. But next up on ACCN, Wake Forest and Clemson. And coming up after that one, 13th ranked North Carolina traveling to Blacksburg, taking on number 7 Virginia Tech. Top 25 matchup between those two, who met in the ACC quarterfinals last year, with Virginia Tech winning it in overtime.
I think that game's all around Kitley and how she's defended. North Carolina did an excellent job on her last year in guarding the ACC Player of the Year. And let's see if Kitley and her teammates can take advantage of those double teams and score when she's in a one-on-one. I'm looking forward to watching that matchup.
Well, Virginia Tech, high hopes coming into the season, certainly one of the highest picked teams in the preseason poll, but they did have that loss at home to Notre Dame to open ACC play, and then the loss to Clemson. So currently sitting at 1-2, and North Carolina has played just the one conference game so far, so they're looking for their first ACC win.
I mean, I think Virginia Tech might feel some pressure. You can't go 1-3 with the schedule that they have in front of them and have a chance to win in the ACC regular season. But I don't think it's a must win, because I do think that you could run the table after that and have 3 losses, because I think 3 or 4 is going to win the league.
Crowd applauding as Prosper got a couple more points, getting some more minutes here today. And just her second appearance for Notre Dame. Bransford steps into the shot. It's good.
KK in the mid-range.
Well, she has 16 now. That matches her career high that she had against Ball State earlier this season. Daley has a couple more to her name.
I mean, she's showing off a little bit today here in the second half. That's what I said, you know, BC, no pressure on them now. Just come out and play. Don't look at the scoreboard, just play. Try to match segment by segment what Notre Dame is doing.
Well, timeout on the floor. We'll take a break as well. 6 minutes left to play at South Bend.
Has this ever happened to you?
How was school?
Fine, whatever.
As we welcome you back to South Bend, one of the storylines that we've been following for Notre Dame this season, Debbie, is their turnover, specifically in the fourth quarter. We've seen it hurt them. We've also seen them do better in those situations. Today, just one so far, although those 17 turnovers they have now more than Boston College has in the game.
Yeah, it's been a concern and the biggest question mark that I have about Notre Dame, as they get a steal and a turnover by BC. Now they're equal in number of turnovers. It's been a question mark that I've had for Niele Ivey's team, and we talked to her about it, and she's aware. But they have 17 team turnovers, and 8 of them come from combined Mabry and Miles. So your guards can't turn the ball over that much. And this is against, this is a good pressure team in BC, but, they've turned the ball over 6 times in the fourth quarter at Miami and survived. But we've also seen them turn it over 6 times in other games, or 5 turnovers in other games, and not win over the last 3 years. So closing out games is an issue for Notre Dame, and I hope it doesn't affect them like it did last year in the Sweet 16. Because they have all the tools and the talent. That's the biggest question mark to me.
Yeah, that loss 66-63 to NC State in the NCAA tournament, that was part of the story there. I will say, though, that Niele Ivey felt fairly confident in this team. Miles goes to the basket, knocks over the official. Carla back to her feet.
That was definitely a charge.
On the official? Miles
No,
on?
that was a charge on Miles. Carla Fountain had. She had already obtained legal guarding position under the basket.
We'll be right back.
Most three-pointers in a single game.
Breaking records, brackets, ankles, and new ground. Come for it all.
Notre Dame in a commanding lead here in the second half, and we're going to go back to what we looked at the break. We had to go back to the monitor because Carla Fountain underneath the basket. Rule 10-10-5. That is, she had obtained legal guarding position. She had 2 feet on the ground facing the opponent. That's a charge.
Well, Debbie, she has no one to blame but herself for not making the call, I guess. Carla getting back to her feet, no problem after that interaction with Olivia Miles.
Carla Fountain, a veteran official, one of the great personalities out of our officials around the ACC and other leagues.
She won't mind us having a little fun. Citron continues to work for Notre Dame. 15 now in the game for Citron, right about her average.
On 7 of 9 shooting with 6 rebounds and 4 assists and only 1 turnover.
Mayer up and over Citron, couldn't finish. Daley gets it back for the Eagles and adds 2 more. She's got 5 in this quarter, has really been good in the second half. 13 of her 15 coming after halftime.
Yeah, I think she's been very aggressive off the bounce and settled in much better than what she started the game, playing maybe too fast.
Daley, just a sophomore, only averaged about 5 minutes per game last season. Obviously much bigger role now as Miles goes to the basket again. All right, you gave the Citron line. Let me give the Miles line, okay? So she is 17 points, 7 for 10 shooting, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, does have 5 turnovers. 2 great players in the backcourt for Notre Dame, as we had that discussion earlier. Just curious, other coaches, who they might pick if you could only pick one. And I think the final decision, at least, is that Niele Ivey, glad she doesn't have to make that choice. Those 2 sophomores really key to what this team does.
Really important pieces to what they do, and both very tough. Citron, I think, she plays with no emotion. She's just solid, and then there's the flash and the emotion of Miles. It works. It goes together.
I appreciate them sitting next to each other on the bench as we're telling that story. Bransford's on the free throw line. That helps. I feel like fire and ice is overused, Debbie. We need to come up with something else, but something similar maybe for those two.
Yeah, we're not going with fire and ice. That's
No.
Corciani and Monroe from NC State back in the day.
Yeah,
On the men's side.
that's what I'm saying. We need something. We've got time. We'll see the Irish again next Sunday at Chapel Hill. See what we can come up with. Maybe if, you know, we'll take requests as well. Foul as Prosper drives. She's getting some good minutes, getting a little more used to that Irish uniform and what it feels like to be a part of this team.
It's pretty amazing that in today's day and age, you can reclassify, graduate from high school early, and start your college career immediately at Christmas time.
Yeah. A jump ball, and it'll go to Boston College. I did think it was interesting, though, you know, how Niele Ivey said that working with Olivia Miles through this situation when she came early a couple of years ago was really a bit of a blueprint, gave her some ideas on how she would approach it now second time around with Prosper. And Olivia has even said that those early days and weeks kind of tough for her because she did not want to disrupt the chemistry that the team already had. You can imagine that could be a difficult situation for someone to step into.
Well, and you got to balance, you know, whose minutes she's going to get and how does she fit in and how does she gel off the floor. And, you know, that's I'm guessing that she's 17, maybe 18, but she's young.
That's an offensive foul on Marshall. Oh, Prosper, excuse me. That was Marshall. Nice drive there to the basket by Ava McGee. Freshman for the Eagles. And that shot won't go. The crowd trying to will it in for Sarah Cernugal, the junior walk-on, getting some time here in these final couple of minutes.
I think walk-ons are invaluable inside the game. They're usually great teammates on the end of the bench. They encourage. They're probably pretty good students. And if you need somebody to go to the gym and rebound, you can usually get the walk-on to go with you because they're willing to do that. That's the kind of selfless team players they usually are.
Marshall turns around, has her first 2 points, and that makes 9 different, sorry, I was doing math, Irish players who have scored in this game now. Too strong inside for Lizama.
Well, I think if you're Joanne Burnaby-McNamee, you're not totally burning the film. You're probably going to pick some bright spots, but you're really going to use it as a great teaching visual, and then you burn it, and you move on. Because, you know, they turn the ball over early and often. That Notre Dame got out on a break and then got some layups, and it was just too big of a hole for BC to dig out of.
And they'll have to turn around in a hurry, head to Raleigh. There's Cernugal again. Prosper keeps it in the hands of the Irish, 2 on the shot clock. Jenna Brown aware of it, did get the shot off and was fouled.
And the other thing, Jen, on the Notre Dame side is, as you mentioned before, they don't play again until Sunday next week. So that gives Niele Ivey, without class time, a week of practice. How many times do we talk to coaches and say, all we do is play and prepare for games? And now we get a chance to work on some of the things we need to work on. They'll be better for it.
As a reminder, every Sunday afternoon, you can get women's basketball here on ACCN. We told you about that game for Notre Dame coming up next week. That's the 4 p.m. game. Should be a good one in Chapel Hill. Pitt, Louisville before that at 2. Those the two we're featuring in Louisville, the preseason pick to win the league this year. On the ropes right now, Debbie. Under 2 to go. They trailed Duke by 10.
Well, Duke proved on Thursday in Raleigh that they are for real. Their depth, their physicality, their defense, their ability to disrupt. And NC State playing without Diamond Johnson definitely was a factor for NC State. But certainly Duke played really well.
Tell you what, Daley has had herself a game here in the second half. 15 points after the break, 17 total in the game for Boston College. A bright spot to be sure. In a game where the Eagles got better, but just had, as you said, too far to go. Notre Dame flexing its muscle. They will get the win 85-48 and prove to 3-0 in conference play. Niele Ivey, as Debbie mentioned, will now have a week to prepare for that matchup in Chapel Hill. Of course, the Tar Heels have a game you can see later today right here on ACCN. They travel to Blacksburg to take on 7th-ranked Virginia.